about music videos today, and we haven't had this info session with Alberta Music before to be able to discuss kind of the ins and outs of making a music video, which has become pretty predominant in the every level now of the artist, from emerging upward, obviously. So we'll go through and we'll introduce the panel here. Again, I said my name's Glen Erickson. I'm the current board chair. I ran a record label out of Edmonton for 10 years. I was in a touring band for 7 years, and on the side, every now and then, I have a partner that I make music videos with. We started a company called Heavy Grain. In my touring band, we made our first video when we were touring through Vancouver with a friend of mine who shot it and made the video for $250. You'll never get that deal again anywhere you go. And then that guy, I figured, well, he's so affordable, I might as well go into business with him. He does this so well. So that's who I started making music videos with. And so that's my background with music and music videos. I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves. I'll just let you guys introduce yourselves. I have info on you, but you guys can talk about yourselves. So next to me is Doug. I'll let Doug introduce himself.
Hello. My name is Doug Cook. I work and live in Calgary here. I am a music video director. I started making music videos probably about 10 plus years ago. Seriously. I went to film school in Vancouver, and coming out of Vancouver as a film school student, I kind of asked myself, what kind of films do I want to make? And at the time, I was thinking more about short films and feature films and dramatic kind of films. And then I found getting into music videos very liberating and fun, and being able to explore pretty much anything was kind of got my wheels going. Because really, that's kind of the music video world, is you can do almost anything you want, really. And that's kind of what makes me tick, is kind of just jumping into something that you want to explore and just try and capture it. And working with music obviously is the driving force of the visuals, and that kind of gets me going. So I kind of fell in love with making music videos, and I just kind of, as soon as I fell in love with anything, as you know, when you fall in love, you just want to be with it as much as you possibly can. So I just been going and going and going, making music videos and trying to get better and better, and meeting bands and musicians along the way, and I love it. So that's kind of my story.
Hi everyone, I'm Amanda Schweers. I'm from Vancouver, BC, and I run Amazing Factory Productions. I guess I started to try to get into video making, and then my younger brother Joe, who's 6 years younger than me, picked up the camera and did way more awesome things than I could ever do. So since then, I've just tried to support him in his filmmaking. And as he went along, we found out that our cousins, Josh and Andrew, were also very talented filmmakers. And so we created Amazing Factory Productions. And so it's all family and just really inspired by music and all of our friends that are in the community that we've been able to do videos for. And this has actually grown into something awesome that we can all keep doing together and actually, make a bit of a living at it. One of my cousins, Andrew, who's in our company, is also the drummer for We Are the City, and so we in turn have made every video for them since then, and it's been an awesome collaborative relationship that we've just kept going. And I think that's at the heart of everything we do, is that it's always a collaboration of what we can do to make a visual piece to match your song. So that's kind of where we floated from there, and we've also stemmed into other corporate stuff as well. And since then, we made a full-length feature film just this past year with We Are the City. Actually, we went to Norway and filmed this video, and it's all in Norwegian, and it's a dramatic, beautiful piece of film they made, and it all touches on themes in We Are the City's album and has the same name. So we've kind of grown from making videos into kind of like taking a step forward to do a whole film piece that involves another band. So the collaboration just keeps kind of growing from there. So very happy to be here today to talk about music videos.
Hey, my name's Liam Cormier. I sing in a metal band called Cancer Bats that's from Toronto. I also sing in a metal band from the UK called Axemoon. And I guess between both bands, I've been lucky enough to make 14 music videos now. And even before Cancer Bats kind of took off and started doing music videos, I would kind of help out my friends and be extras and get free lunch at lots of other videos that were going on in Toronto and stuff like that. So yeah, kind of been doing that since even before like our first record came out was when we did our first music video. And I guess even aside from the real formal ones where we actually had like a budget, we've always been making videos on our own and like learning how to do all the editing and things like that ourselves. So from high budget to like extremely iPhone DIY, we've used like video a ton in terms of helping on our band. So yeah.
Awesome. Okay, and just so we sort of understand, everyone understands each other, how many that are attending here are like artists, performers in bands or solo that would be making videos? Okay. And then other people? I don't know how to... Industry people, like people that are like video makers. Are there any people out here who get behind the camera themselves? Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, we've assembled the people that are here because they obviously have great experience in a number of different levels of being involved with the music video as an artist in Canada, even, which is even more helpful. So we're gonna just kind of work through some of the questions we feel that are the primary things around it. If we miss something that is on your mind about the whole process, you know, you can ask questions. This can be like good old school, put your hand up and we'll recognize you type thing, right? So, you know, we kind of have a loose format we're gonna kind of work through so that we feel we want to try and cover some bases and get some great information out there, but we also want to be able to interact and talk to you about, you know, if things come up as we go along. So please feel free, don't be shy, all that kind of stuff. We all good? Everyone got their drink? You're all fine? You've gone to the washroom? I haven't. I did go to the washroom. So if I have to leave at some point, you did rush me. And I'm trying a new deodorant out today, so I'm completely off kilter right now. Anyhow. So I feel this is really important. I'm glad we're having this discussion. Let's jump into talking about the music video. And I thought that we'd just start answering the obvious question from the beginning, which may not be obvious to everybody, which is the when and the why of when an artist should consider making a music video part of sort of their career package, right? Like when in your opinion, do you feel that an artist is, I don't know if I want to use the term ready, or maybe you would end up speaking to how you perceive it being sort of part of the whole package of what you present, and then how you would make that choice. But if anybody has something to weigh in on that, grab your mic. Do so, Amanda.
Basically, now this might seem like you don't need to say it, but once your song is actually complete and mastered is when you should start looking at a video. We've definitely had songs sent to us that are just like a rough mix, but you want to have the actual final complete song for sure. If you want to try to apply some stale marketing terms to it, videos kind of add content to your websites. It's something for you to promote yourselves out there. So if you're pushing a new single to radio or just trying to get it out there, if radio is not your format that you're going to be heard, then video is a great avenue to get out there and really promote yourself. And you know, mostly when you're releasing materials like that, it wants to be around something exciting happening, like you're releasing an album or you're going on tour. So it's like a new thing for people to kind of grab onto. Something visual and digestible for them to kind of be introduced to your band.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think even before now, especially with like YouTube being as popular as it is, I would say even before you have your songs mastered or anything, I feel like so many people are using YouTube as like the new demo tape. And that's where people will, like they see your name on a flyer and then they will YouTube your band like immediately. and see whether or not you're worth going to check out at a show. So that then has now become, you know, the way to, I think, like expose yourself to those people. So I would almost say, like, as soon as you can have something that sounds good for sure, but also is like engaging visually, because like to have the first thing that someone sees on your YouTube page is a really terrible live video that you're not super stoked on. It's like, well, that is now like the first thing that people are seeing, and that's what they're basing their judgment on. So to almost be thinking about that, I would say way in advance. Then, I mean, when we were first starting, it was like, okay, we have to have our mastered demo, and that's going to be the first thing that people will hear. It's like, well, now it's almost like that music needs to go along with something that's visual and that's been thought out. At least, even if it's just a well shot like live show. I know that's not specifically like a music video, but I do feel like now things have changed in that way. Like, I own YouTube videos, I'm not gonna check them out.
Yeah.
And if that video sucks,
I was thinking more of the fact that we've been given a song to make a video, and then as they started mixing it, they started really changing the song, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, we have to make this new version fit your video, okay, but yeah, basically if the song's pretty much done, yeah, do something.
make it loosely mastered. The other reason why I was going to say that too is because when Cancer Bats made our first music video for 100 Grand Canyon, that song wasn't mastered or anything. It was on a free sampler. And we just like happened to luck out because we were working with a good director who applied for Video Fact because he really liked us. And that was literally how we lucked in. We were like, we don't even have a record yet. And he was like, well, you have to make this video. So that was how it was like, that was definitely like horse before the carriage before the horse.
Video Fact?
Video Fact. Maybe that's getting way
Yeah.
That's getting a little bit further.
Yeah. Which we'll discuss here.
Sorry.
I
need
had
a glossary of terms.
I had a couple experiences with bands that came to me early in the process, like their song was, just about to be finished or whatever. And I found that was a really good time to start at least thinking about the music video, is when you're actually still in depth with making your song, because all the ideas and all that ambition in the band or the musician is fresh. And as a director or a filmmaker, you're getting really fresh, exciting input from the band rather than like a year later. They did the song a year ago and they want to do a video now. It's kind of like, it's been there, done that. It's more exciting for a filmmaker to be sitting down with the band. It's like, we're almost done. It's about this. We put so much sweat equity into it. We want to make it like this. We got some ideas. What do you think? And that's, maybe you're not shooting the video, but you're kind of making the video already because you're talking about it, and it's in kind of the same timeline as releasing your song or your album or whatever. So it's kind of, I guess what I'm saying is it's good to get thinking about the visual part of your song or your album early as possible, because that's when you're going to get all that creativity and all that passion at the same time.
Yeah, I guess I would ask, would you guys agree that like the music video, and I'm gonna case this in the music video being like what we'll call the professional video, not the DIY iPhone. Do you know what I mean? Like we ran a concept, there was a treatment, we paid a guy to actually do this, not my brother-in-law, who has a computer. Would you say that is now crucial to part of the career of every artist or performer?
I 100% think so. But I also think that now that like technology has kind of become so accessible, that line has become blurred in terms of like, you have to go to a director and you have to shoot it on film and you have to have it, edited. It's like now you can shoot it on an iPhone and you can just have that program on your MacBook to edit it. But I do think like what you were saying is that there needs to be that forethought put into it, and like you have to actually have like an organized idea and like to be thinking about that in conjunction with the song.
You want professionals, like you guys are professional musicians, and you need to accept the fact that you need professional filmmaking advice. We're kind of, there's artists out there, multi-oriented artists that can make music and make film, but really when you want to make a professional music video, high budget or low budget or whatever, if you're wanting a professional thing to come across, you need professional help and advice, and that's when artists come together and collaborate, and that's what you need to start doing that early.
Yeah, I'll admit, I mean, I've seen some great videos that the artist shot strapping a GoPro to their head, right? And then they were really good, with iMovie or whatever they use to edit it or something. And the great thing is in our world now.
Oh, he's done.
That's a sign. Is that flies now? You know what I mean? But inevitably, it's because at the end the product still came out looking and sounding appropriately good, right?
Yeah. It was planned.
Yeah. I'm a strong proponent for having a plan. You know what I mean? And I'm still surprised when a lot of my peers, who are musicians, release their album in September, because you're supposed to in Canada. It's one of the 2 times you release your album, apparently. And then they release the music video in mid-November, right? Because after they released their record, then they went and made the video, and then by the time it was done being edited, shot, and uploaded to YouTube, they released the video in November. Mm-hmm. And these are even people at different levels. Like, we have to recognize there's different levels of emerging artists in Canada, and some people are doing everything themselves. You know what I mean, right now, and some people are even at the level that they have a publicist or manager or something, and they're still releasing their video 3 months after, and I'm surprised, right? I think, why wouldn't you, if you knew you were releasing a record in the fall, you know what I mean, now in this world, you be choosing, like, nobody chooses a song. I don't want to say nobody, I shouldn't generalize completely. In a lot of the circles I run in, indie music, nobody picks a single off their record and that's what they're sending to radio anymore, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it happens in some genres more than others, but in a sense we're doing that, though, again, by making videos, because we're choosing a song, and what's the first video you would lead out in? Right. I'm surprised when I see people don't have a plan where the video, for all the reasons you said, Liam, are primary, is that you need that visual take on who you are and what you're putting out there now.
I think it's something to do with guidance. Like, if you have a label attached to your band, they're kind of telling you, they're helping you with the future marketing, so to speak. So they're like, okay, your album's going to be released or it's done in November. You should have a video come out earlier to promote it. And that's kind of like, artists and musicians need that guidance. Like, we're artists. We're not very good at business, right? We're creating art, and sometimes you need that kind of advice or someone leading you down the proper schedule. And I think that some of the independent bands and artists out there, come up with a video 6 months later, a year later, not because they're lazy or anything like that. It's just because they're just trying to, create your art. You're trying to get your album done. You're trying to do the best you can, and it's money as well. So you kind of have to, I think, you have to find somebody that that's good with scheduling, good with thinking ahead, good with marketing, and kind of helping you along the way, creating some sort of business plan for your band or something to help you promote yourself. Like, it's like a painter, there's painting, and then they finish it, and you're kind of like, what do I do now? Like, you got to kind of like think ahead. You got to plan for how you're going to promote that piece, or you're going to have it in a show or whatever. And I think it's the same with filmmakers. I mean, we can make films forever, but if you don't really know the audience or you don't have some sort of plan of action, no one's going to see it or whatever. So there's that business part that is a big portion of the music video industry.
I was going to say, I mean, in the same way too that you work with like a producer, I mean, it's like the same having someone, like there's a lot of people who do bedroom recordings and they turn out great. But in the same way, it's like there's also those people that do bedroom videos and they turn out great. It's like the same kind of idea. So it's just like having a producer for your record.
You mean actual boudoir videos?
Yeah, real sexy. But yeah, having like a producer for your record just means you're gonna have somebody who's had a lot more experience to help you out. Same thing I would say with like a director. Until you kind of have done it enough that you understand how to do it, and then maybe that time you just work with an engineer like you would once you don't work with a producer.
Yeah, we got a question back here.
Yeah. So would you say that that's the main purpose of a music video, is to help promote an album?
Go ahead.
Or like
I was gonna say, I think promoting the artist, like whether it's an album or, because I think a huge part is like promoting your live show. You know, I think even more so than your record. It's like showing people what you do. And I think that there are a lot of cases of bands now that aren't putting up records either, and that it's just based on the live show that they're doing. Not as much like in like rock and in metal, but like specifically like in the electronic like community. Like there's so many bands that are just having humongous shows based on like the fact that they have cool looking YouTube videos, and they don't have records and they don't have record labels, but they play to like thousands of people.
You want to hear my cheesy answer?
Yeah.
The reason to make a music video is to express your song to another level. I mean, they're cool and they're awesome to have.
Cheesy?
But I mean, really, when you think about it, I mean, if you're really into your music and you want to see it get to another stage, or you want to express the band or your images or your story or the song, I mean, that's what it's all about. And I'm a strong believer if you start there, then it will be a good video. Like if it's coming from the heart, you want to, showcase what you're all about, what the song's all about. It'll be awesome, kick ass.
It's definitely not the only time to release a video when you're having your album being released. It's definitely an extra punch for you to have something more to show people. Like, I'm excited, I'm releasing this album, here's a story about it, here's a video too. So it's definitely something like, you can release videos for every song if you want, if you have it planned out great. Like you could be releasing like music videos for the whole term of like the market your release that you're trying to push and tour and get well known. So there's lots of opportunities out there. They could be all ranges of music videos. You could have some really slick looking ones. You can have ones where you're performing, but it's definitely an extra punch to have like a really solid, digestible, catchy video that comes out when you're like announcing something huge that you worked so hard on. So put that with it is just an extra punch for people to get interested in it.
Absolutely.
Like how many of you have released an album before in the room? Like you've spent that whole time making it and then you release it. Did you put your hand back up if you created some kind of a plan for that release? Like you had a CD release date, you maybe were booking a tour in advance, sent it to radio stations. Like you somehow tried to create a plan that went along with that, right? So I'm very much from the school that I think a music video right now is an indispensable part of that plan for a music release. Like Amanda just said, I don't think it's the only time. And the only reason I sort of slagged some of my peers for releasing a video 2 months after their CD release was that should have been part of the plan. You know what I mean? Way back when you were finishing the recording, and before you sent the record to go get pressed, if you still make CDs. Or whatever, that it should be part of the plan. I feel that if you're one of those people who goes to like conferences and sits in on panels all the time and listen to what the industry experts tell you from their chair, you'll hear them say things. I heard them saying 6 years ago that in like the agency group in Toronto that they don't listen to CDs that get sent to their desk. They hear a name from a friend and they immediately go to YouTube and see what they've done and what there is up there. So when you're talking about the live video, it's equal to the professionally done video that would sort of go along with your new release. There's definitely different types of video. We're going to talk about the grant stuff and money in a bit, but if you go to VideoFact's website, the VideoFact grant is broken down into 4 areas. They've actually, besides getting an EPK or a website grant, there's the video grant, which is made for broadcast, and they have a viral video category, which is made for only online broadcasting as well. So there's a recognition that there's different kind of videos that are being made. But that's a good question. Do you think it should be part of a release? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm not sure, because in one sense you could argue that a well-made music video released, a certain period of time after the album could help keep people interested in the album, or give you like an extra push to keep touring that album.
That's true. Good point.
That's very true. And to me, that's part of the plan still, right?
Oh yeah.
Like the last record I made, just as a quick example with my band, that we had a video that came out 4 weeks before the record was released. And the whole reason is simply because nobody uploads video to their website anymore. Everyone uploads to YouTube. For a very simple reason. Besides YouTube being what YouTube is, the very simple reason everybody started doing that is because YouTube created a way that you didn't have to pay massive, what's called bandwidth costs of uploading a video. And everybody who went to look at it, you'd be paying tons of money because of the digital size of a video, right? So YouTube became what it did because it was all hosted there. And then social media came. So now you have a way through YouTube to also share that video at no cost in any way to everybody. And that's exactly what you're trying to do. When you release a record, I feel personally, I feel like the publicist is the first guy in the chain of a team that you build. You know, because when you go to release, having somebody else do all that work, publicizing your record for you when you release it is great. If you have a video at the start, and then you have a video 6 months down the road, so you can sort of keep the band in front of everyone's consciousness. Yeah, brilliant. And it, maybe one's a live shot, maybe one's, a concept video. I don't know. But we got a question in front.
I'm just curious to like put in context. If you're a band and you're sitting there and somebody's offering you radio tracking for X number of dollars or doing a video for the exact same number of dollars, it's what is the difference? What do you get out of a video that you wouldn't get out of radio tracking if you're trying to reach an audience? And I get that video has that visual appeal and it can show people what you're doing, but at the same time, shoving your song or whatever it is that you're doing with radio tracking into thousands of other listeners' ears, like what would you say to that? Is the
Do both.
Yeah.
Okay, so
because a lot of video
good for a lot
trackers
of
want a
people.
video, right?
Yeah, of course they
when
do.
they send it out, but then
And if we were all
find a
made of
way
money,
to-
we would all do that. But
Yeah.
like if you, I'm just talking about the different avenues at which
Yeah.
you approach your base, like getting off the ground. If you're a brand new band and you can't afford both, why would you choose video over?
Well, if you're a
track?
brand new band, and this comes to the subjectiveness, and we'll try to address this in all of our conversations, because there's a subjectiveness to what level of band you are, and I don't even like using the word level, but you know what I mean? There's different levels of sort of accomplishment and where you sort of sit in the great group of people, aspiring musicians in our country. If you're like a brand new band, a radio tracker, you could pay $1,500 to a radio tracker and not get a ton of leg work out of that thing because you're a brand new band. So think about the amount of work a radio tracker has to do to try to convince hosts like the great people at CJS
That's not
to play your record, right? With all the other ones that are out there. You know what I mean? But you're brand new. So that's $1,500 there. You could spend $1,500 on a music video being brand new and have the 100 people share the hell out of it on a social media and maybe get way more legs out of exposure at that point. But maybe it's your second release and you're right. Maybe you're like, we need a radio tracker at this point. I don't know.
I was going to say the other side too with like the video is that specifically like once you put that video on the internet, it's more like international in terms of like who's going to be accessing it. And I know for like an independent band like ourselves, like the only tracks that people know of ours when we go to places like Eastern Europe and to other spots where like you can't buy a record in stores, you can't do anything like that. It's like they only know those 12 songs that are on the internet or live videos that are there. And those are 100% the songs that they know the words to, they want to hear. They've never heard any of our records. There's no radio station in Bratislava that would play our music, but yet there's these kids that know the words to these 12 songs front to back. And they know the theme of the video more than they know the title, as how they like call it out. Where I don't know, I do see the side of radio, I guess just with Whyte Band specifically, we have had some support with radio, but to me it's always been...
But alternative radio is tough like that, right? Like
and especially for being like a metal band. It's just, to us, we were just like, that's not going to be the way we're going to go.
Cards, yeah.
And we always look to bands like Alexis on Fire was like a band that 100% benefited from music videos, where they had like their fans requesting Much Music so much to play their video that they were forced to put it on air.
Yeah.
And that's what blew that band up. And they literally they were only accepted on radio like on their third album. By that point, they had sold like 100,000
And that's a huge point, because what you have to understand is you're going to pay a single radio tracker, to be your champion to radio. So that person either has to absolutely love you on their own, or you're in there with everybody else that they're promoting, right? So what you hope is that this radio tracker actually really loves our band and will go the extra mile to try and get people on radio to listen to it. As opposed with video, the people who are going to share that are the people who absolutely love you. The people you want to absolutely love you. There's just a lot more power.
You kind of get a little bit of a killing two birds with one stone when you do make a music video, because you got the music, which will go on the radio, but now you have the visual, which you mentioned. So really, you can, you hopefully what you're hearing from the audience is it's a fucking awesome song, but it's a fucking awesome video too. Right. And so that you have two things going on. You can sell people on your new song or your new band based on how cool your video is and looks, and also how good the song is, right? And I think that's a big benefit to a music video, is it's kind of entering another industry for people to see it now and hear it. So nothing against radio, I love radio, but that's what I do. I'm a music video director, and I'm just saying that once you make a visual, that'll help you sell the band and the song as well. So it's just another thing for people to talk about.
Yeah, you don't want to make it too much of like a radio versus video thing. Like maybe as like the booking agent side of me, I'm thinking like, yeah, if you can get some radio play, that's awesome for when you're touring. Especially when you can promote those shows on the radio stations that are playing you, that's awesome. If you can find someone who can actually honestly do something with your songs at radio, that's great. But there's lots of different avenues for you to get out there and apply for grants to make a video as well. And you want to try to have like a few videos going on. You don't want to be like banking all on like this one video versus like this radio tracker. They're all just elements in how you're going to spread it out there.
Yeah.
But
And
definitely,
then-
Well, fair enough. There's no grants for radio tracking compared to grants for video.
I think there is like
Well, there's
marketing.
promotional grants.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
through Factor, you get a promotional grant.
You can
They're hard
shove
to-
it in
they're
the
hard to
side
get,
of it,
yeah.
but it's not the same as what video is capable of. That's
I
great.
was gonna say the thing too is that like once a radio station does get behind you, especially if it's like a local Calgary station that's just like, we love these guys, we're gonna play them all the time, that will also like help you out a ton. I know we're just talking about music videos, but YouTube will never be like, oh, this is the guy, unless you have like millions and millions of hits.
Right.
So that side of things is also tough.
Well, that's the thing. The hits are the guy,
yeah,
right?
So,
Not someone from YouTube saying,
yeah.
watch this. I was watching Barter Kings the other day. This old lady, she was interviewing her, and she's like, I phoned Craigslist and they sent these two nice men down. She thought Craigslist was a company like Sears. Anyhow, like YouTube is. Yes?
For all you guys, for your most popular videos like on YouTube, most hits, what were some of the key elements that kind of helped those videos to gain more popularity than some of the other ones you did?
I think being released properly, especially for the video side of things, when we've handed a video over to a band that maybe doesn't have a lot of team members in place yet, and I see them post it at like 2 a.m. in the morning on Facebook, like, here's our video. I'm like, that's it? Like, all that built up to just like, there it goes. Watch it if you want to. So it's just, I think there's definitely a lot of plan that has to go into, like, if you have a publicist, get them involved to get like a blog or something to premiere it online, like make a big deal about it. So I think for sure, like actually releasing it properly, whether it be like having a party or, you know, getting an awesome blog or online presence to actually be like releasing it exclusively first, it's great, for sure.
I think for me it's a couple of things. Some of the videos that I've done that got most hits had a label attached to them, and so obviously they're doing exactly what she's saying. They're promoting it and properly releasing it, and that's their job, is to get as much exposure as possible. And then there's the independent artists, where I think a lot of it had to do with the video itself just being cool, and just getting the right audience to watch it and sending it to the right areas, the right sectors, or whatever you want to call it, and just promoting it, and like really constantly sharing it. Not just like, you know, Like the one morning you send it at 3 a.m., like you were saying, it's like a constant, like a job. Like just keep on sending it out, and then the hits start coming, and then people start talking about, have you seen that video that looks like this or like that or whatever, and the song is awesome. It's just sharing, and basically doing what the label's supposed to do. So I think you get the most hits by A, having a good video and a good song, and then B, really like, it's your baby. Just keep on promoting it and getting it to the right people to talk about it. That's, to me, that's the key. I mean, having a publicist is super important. Like, hire somebody for $200 to write a little thing about the band and about the video, and get that person's connections for him to send it out, him or her to send it out to all those people that they know. And then you'll start seeing it on blogs and on the internet and on websites and such like that. I think for a few videos that I've done, like getting on Metal Sucks and stuff like that, you know, it's huge. You just get like 10,000 hits in like 2 hours, and you're like, wow, what the? It's because Metal Sucks has a good reputation and that sort of thing. So I'm a strong believer that if you're an independent musician band, hire a publicist, like a media relations publicist, for a couple $100 and give them everything they need, and then basically you're buying their contacts, and that'll help you get as many hits as possible.
I was gonna say also, along with what you said, like having a really good idea and like making it work, like taking the time to make it awesome. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like a huge budget, but also maybe having someone who like knows how to execute your idea. Sort of work with like a director or somebody like that who can.
Yeah, something unique and original, and something that people talk about.
Definitely having like a really original idea, and it can be like super tough trying to come up with that, but then all of a sudden like you can figure something out. I mean, we had a music video, the first one that ever went to like 1 million hits for us. We had live wolves in the video, and it was.
That was going to be one of my questions tonight, whether the wolf was actually there, if they CGI'd that shit.
No, that was live wolves, and it was one of those things that was.
People got injured on that shoot.
There was one guy who got his face split open by one of the wolves because it jumped up at him. It was one of the camera guys.
Should have got that on film.
It was super cool.
You did. I saw that. I watched your video. I saw the wolf jump up. Was that
the wolf jumps up? But they were on aircraft cable, so they could like be pulled back. But he just jumped up and wanted to do.
Yikes.
Anyway, so it was like having an idea like that, where I was like, I've never seen a video with like, you know, like wolves and stuff like that in it, and it was the director's like idea, and I was like, okay, cool, let's do it. But even from there, like we've done videos that weren't that high of, you know, production, but just had like a funny, like we usually. Our biggest hits have always been from like joke videos, like stuff where we just like kind of show ourselves having fun and like being kind of like goofs, but like actually doing the idea. Like we all dressed up like lumberjacks. We went to the woods, went and played in the woods. It was really funny. People really liked it, and then they spread it around to their friends. They're like, "Oh, you should see this band from Canada. They dressed up like lumberjacks. They play in the woods." Or they're like, "There's wolves in it. Check it out." And then that's how it spreads from there. So I think just having that idea.
Yeah. I think idea is still king when it comes to music video. I mean, there's lots of other things that will contribute to success, I guess, that we would all agree with. We already talked about the plan and the timing and how hard you work it, or those sort of elements. But I mean, it's a video. It's still, I would strongly believe that the idea is key.
The word music comes first before video, music video. So you have a good, awesome song, that's where it starts, and then you make the video as awesome as the song, and then your hits will go good.
Yeah. Or, you know, if all else fails and everything you're doing is horrible, you could just, what's that new video where that girl's just going around singing about something silly? The Chinese food? Yeah, Chinese food video. You know, if you come up with an idea like that, but somehow I think that the fact that the song sucks so bad is what makes those things famous. I don't understand, but
yeah.
Let's move into the process idea. How many of you have made a video already for your music? Just so I also get that sense. Okay, let's work into the process a little bit to keep things moving, and maybe this is going to overlap with budget because we've already talked about how things cost, and I think everybody likes to be able to have that out there too. So we kind of get ideas about how much should this thing really cost me, or did that director I talked to, was he like just trying to fleece me for thousands and thousands of dollars and stuff? We were talking upstairs before, some of us, about, and I was explaining how the first time we ever had someone approach us in the band I was in about being in video, like the costs were a minimum $25,000, and it involved like hiring people that were in the union,
Making a movie
and stuff. Yeah, and it's like that seemed to be like what was the norm. Like this was about 7 years ago, right? And obviously everything's changed since then. So if we start talking about the process, I think some of the financial stuff that people will be interested in will come into that. But so you're gonna make a music video, and we sort of talked about whether you just kind of get some videos out there, or whether you go for the loosely put in quotations, the professional video. What do those look like? What are the differences? Like, what makes a certain video one that you would just make for like viral video, as opposed to like this is like our serious kick-ass band video that goes along with our record, things like that? What are the differences? How do you guys?
Well, like I said a little bit earlier, I think in my mind anyways, I mean, I'm a filmmaker. That's what I do. That's what I love. That's my passion. It's my talent. You guys are the musicians, or some of you, that's what you do. I can't make music. I like music. I love music, but I can't make music. So I think that when it comes between a do-it-yourself video and a professional video, it's when a musician approaches a filmmaker and they collaborate and they make a professional piece. It doesn't have to be expensive. It's about creative, artistic collaboration. And I think when you take that step, that's going to step you into a professional music videos, when you actually look in the mirror and say, I can't really make this as good as this other person could. I need help, and I want to collaborate with that person. That's when you're going to get a really good product. Whereas I think the do-it-yourself, which some of them are cool, and that's usually from, probably my guess would be that a musician has some filmmaking talents in them, but not all of us have that, So the do-it-yourself it can be fun and cool if you can do it. But if you're looking for a professional video, like you said, the wow factor, so when it gets online or on TV and people are like, whoa, that's awesome. It's usually because filmmakers were involved. That's what we do. We visualize and come up with concepts that are based on your song or your what the story's about in your album, or whatever, concept album, concept song. And we make it into a visual form and have all kinds of really cool ideas. But you got to take that step. You got to, like I said, you got to look in the mirror and go, I need help, and I want to talk to a professional filmmaker, director, producer, production company, and start getting some advice and collaborate. And collaborating is not easy, but you got to do it.
Just on that note, I'm curious, because this is something we struggle with all the time. Is we spend all of our time at music conferences, anything music based ever, and we meet a million musicians a day, and that's wonderful and great, and everyone who runs music. Yeah. But we never meet anyone who does video. And like we don't go to any video organized. It's two realms that they should be working together, but. Yeah. Is there any resource in the whole wide world that we can actually all just hang out?
Yeah, well, there is now.
You know what I mean?
Admittedly, that's a very good question, and there hasn't been before now that I've ever known about. But recently, and this kind of breaks into where we were going to talk about where you can go to get funding resources. But recently, a group formed out of Vancouver called Public Records. And basically they were some guys who went and pitched an idea to TELUS, that TELUS wanted to start throwing some money into the arts. And they said, how about we go and we create a website where we connect directors, filmmakers with artists and bands on a website, and then you put in all this grant money which we distribute in your markets in Alberta and BC. And so they set aside a certain amount of dollars in all the markets, and we're talking like Calgary, Edmonton, Lethbridge, Grand Prairie, Fort McMurray, in different regions of BC as well. And so they worked with TELUS, and they had that happen over the summer, and they just finished releasing all the videos that were made as a part of that. And besides the fact that it's a new way, specifically just for music videos, to get money, a grant resource, I feel the strength of it is now you could go online. And now you're going to see people who are directors and filmmakers in tons of different markets across these two provinces. And there's literally, they couldn't believe the response. There's like hundreds. So that's one resource that has come up, which is a part of the whole question of how do I get started? You know, how do I find someone?
I mean, I was going to say the same thing too. I think it's almost in the same way that you would like try and find a producer that you'd want to work with. I think we've met video directors just from literally going through friends' music videos that we liked. I mean, originally I met directors because I was in my friends' music videos, because they would always need extras and they would always need someone to help out. So that's how I ended up meeting like Mark Ricciardelli, because he was directing a friend's video. And then we went again just because we knew he was shooting the Alexis video and we were friends with them. We went to the Alexis
Which Alexis
set.
video did he do?
He did, I want to say, the first 6 Alexis videos.
Yeah, they're great.
And he did our first 9 music videos. He did all the Bedouin Sound Clash videos on the first 2 albums. Like he basically just dominated Toronto music. And now everyone that he's worked with is doing all those videos around. But again, so I originally met that, I met Mark Ricciardelli because I was on set and I gave him a Cancer Bats demo before he went to go shoot a Comeback Kid video. And I was like, oh, Comeback Kid are our best friends. Check out our band. And he was like, whatever. And then laughed and like actually listened to the record and was like, no, this is cool.
Oh.
But this is what I was gonna say. Like a producer, I think it's just as important to have someone not that you just like as a video director, but someone who also like you vibe with. Who like understands like the kind of music that you make and what you want to do, and
Absolutely.
It is a collaboration, because if they don't understand that you're into, I don't know what kind of music you make, but if they don't understand that you come from punk rock and you want it to look like a punk video, you're going to end up with a video that doesn't suit your band. In the same way that if you work with a producer who tries to make your punk band sound like radio rock, it's going to sound terrible. So I think of it as being the exact same thing. Same with like when you're trying to find an artist to make your like label or your album art. I think it's like the exact same way where you're just like, I like this, piece of art. I want to figure out who that person is. But also I would say don't be scared to reach out to those directors, because they're all just artists like you guys are.
Absolutely, yeah.
Especially if they're in the area, to be like, I'm going to be in Vancouver, let's hang out.
That's what's tough, right? Is like Calgary isn't the hotbed for that kind of stuff. Like everyone I know who does sweet shit is in Vancouver or Toronto.
But
not to say that there's any there's not those people here. It's just that they haven't made their names and they haven't made the waves that you guys have.
Yeah.
And so it's my question kind of rolls over into like, do we need to like figure out a couple extra days on tour where we're stuck in Vancouver and like, hey, let's.
I was going to say
line something up
100%
for
because
this?
those people will have like the connections to getting professional looking lights, to getting professional looking gear, to get like,
the infrastructure.
Yeah, so
is there.
if you're in Vancouver and you can book your tour around, doing 2 extra days, you can get something that looks awesome, and I don't think,
My first video was
that.
day off in Vancouver.
Cool.
On tour, right, with a Vancouver producer. So
The public record site is an awesome new resource for sure, because there's been times too that like Amazing Factory hasn't had time, or we just felt like we weren't the right creative match for an artist, and we're like, you know what, go check out, like here's a website that has a ton of other awesome filmmakers, like go try to find somebody there too, like we direct them to a few other people. Like I think a lot of filmmakers in the community are always kind of passing around like, you should check out this guy and this guy, like we're always kind of willing to like throw other people's names out there. But it's definitely a lot of trust that you're putting in somebody, so it has to be an awesome relationship that's happening. Like there has to be a cool energy about collaborating, because we've definitely had a couple of videos where like the band was kind of like, just make something, and like they weren't really into it, and then it just like, and then we were kind of like, we're not really into it, and it didn't turn out good.
Yeah, of course. There's no love. There's no love in
It's just
it.
like, that wasn't fun. Like that's not what this is about. So it's definitely like you have to have somebody that you definitely are meshing with, that like you're trusting them to make a visual match to your music.
It's like another band member almost. You gotta try to find someone that you can bring into the band for a short period of time.
Yeah. Beautiful. This is something that like there's certain songs that I will see the video in my mind. And that, like I've been able to connect with that forever because of that video, that I thought it just paired so perfectly with that song. So it definitely has to be somebody that you can trust to actually like make good on this for you.
I know what you're saying, it's tough to find. I mean, I remember when I first started making videos, I would go to the band. Like my wife and I used to go to concerts, and I'd walk up to the band and I'd be like, I like your music, I want to make a video for you. And
We've had those people, but like
But then you can meet them.
Those are usually pretty shitty fucking videos.
Oh,
not to be.
no, I know.
No,
but I
but
mean,
it is like looking up there because I mean the last 3 videos that we did, those guys I met at a show and they were just like, check out our reel, check out what we do. We're like huge fans of your band, and I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just like a matter of me going through their stuff and picking out what I liked that they did in the same way like you would, again, like it's totally the same as like a producer. Like in that same way that you have to be actively engaged in it.
Yeah, and step one is, like, that's great advice. Like, in my own life, I end up doing that in a number of different ways. Like, I contract people for, like, different areas of design. And I'll spend hours scoping portfolios, trying to find something that will give me the confidence that this person can do what they need to do as an artist. And I feel like directors, most of the ones that I know personally, feel the same way about a band that they'll work with, which is a great thing to know. You know what I mean? That they're not just going to make any video for anybody that has the money.
Yeah.
You don't want to work with that. And at the same time, you got to spend a bunch of time scoping out the person that you feel that you, and then you have to meet them and actually vibe with them and feel like, this person understands us. This is going to be fun to work with. To keep things moving, let me ask a couple of the sort of rudimentary things about a video that, just in case it's things people want to know. Like how long should it take to make a music video? Like the different stages of a video.
10 years.
10, yeah.
I was gonna say I've never made a video that took less than at least like 15 to 16 hours.
Of shooting it, yeah.
Yeah, just like it always takes way longer than you think it will, even if it's like a 3-minute video. But now that we've had like more time to work on it, we usually will spend 3 days like working on a video, unless it's like a quick live thing. But like for the most part, to have like an actual story and to get as many shots as you possibly can to make sure everything's covered, it's usually like 3 days.
And then from shooting, then it goes into post-production, they call it.
Yeah.
Editing. How long does that...
I mean, that's the tricky question. I've worked on, every video I've made is taking different time. Like I'm still working on a video. I've worked on a video for 2 years now because it's animation. It's 3D animation. So, and it's like based on volunteer work and working with college students and university students. So, I mean, it could take you years, literally. And then there's videos I've shot overnight, like from midnight to 5 a.m. in the morning in the forest, and then I edit it the next day for 8 hours straight, and then the next day we're done. So it's just based on concept. It's based on what you have to work with, and it's based on what you're trying to push. Like if you're trying to push the boundaries of music video, it takes time. And it kind of goes back into our last conversation about there is no easy answer. I mean, if you want to find a director that's good for your band, it takes time. You got to research, you got to go through portfolios, you got to talk, you got to meet people. I mean, it's a lot of work. But if it's too easy, then you probably have a shitty video, right? Like, so we're talking about working hard, right? Like, that's what it is. You got to find the right people, and you got to really, depends on what you're trying to do. So I don't know. I don't have an easy answer for that. Like, video is just kind of...
That's a realistic answer. That's nice.
Again, it's like a record. Like, as much as you put into it is going to take to to edit and all that stuff. Just like the same kind of way.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes you can have like a live track that goes really quickly, and then you have this awesome live video that also goes really quickly.
Yeah, see, like, for example, right, like, I was asking Amanda at supper, because they just finished making a video for Jordan Clausen, right? I always want to say Cook, and I know it's not.
It's a great video, by the way.
And I was asking, because I was under this impression that it had tons of post-production time behind it. And she was like, no, actually, it was pretty light on post-production, because the concept, and the setting up of the shoot and the lighting and all this kind of stuff was done so well, you know what I mean, that it fooled me, which is pretty fantastic, right?
Yeah.
What's this video that I want to reference?
Jordan Clausen.
It's called The Horses Are Stuck. Cool. And you can find it, like all the videos. We think we got a public records grant for that one. So you can find that all on that website too.
Is that the one with the woods guy running through, the big woods man?
Yeah, a basically 8-foot tall, hairy
cool.
monster man that was ridiculous to make. Yeah, I mean, kind of a typical thing that we do is we double the amount of time. So if it's going to take like a couple days to film it, like you got to leave like at least a couple days on the other side. And that's if like there's no extra like tweaks and work that you have to put into the post-production to it.
Or if a wolf guy bites your face off and you need to go to the hospital.
Yeah, you need to put time into
You know,
consider that for sure. Yeah. But I mean, if I wanted to kind of touch back just on a budget item too, because kind of how we build our budgets are based on how many days we're going to be filming and how many days we estimate in the post-production. You don't have to spend 20 grand to make a video. You don't. But you can talk to somebody and give them some fences to put up. You know, like say like, I only have this much money, like what can we do within this? And we can kind of like pare down, well, like let's kind of like build an idea around this too. You know, like if a filmmaker is really excited to do something with you, like they'll find a way to make it work and kind of cut back, but without being, you know, torturing themselves as well in the process.
If I could just respond, like you guys have been tiptoeing around numbers for a little while. Is there going to be some point where we actually like get into the grant?
Yeah, let's do it now.
Yeah, you want to do it?
Yeah, why not?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
How much should a grant cost? How much would hours on a grant? How much should a video cost?
How much should a video cost? I mean, you
I
could-
know we were subjective, but
Let's say
It could range.
mid-level awesome band that you guys
Well-
you believe in.
I mean, that all depends too on how easy the idea is to shoot.
We are
as
the
well.
city.
Yeah, I know it's a tough one. It's
Yeah.
I would
well,
say
you told me those public records grants were up to 5,000.
Right.
Okay,
That's maximum?
that was the maximum
Yeah.
that was available to them. I was a part of observing the process, and the vast majority of people all applied for $5,000. Right.
Yeah.
And the vast majority that were all given out were $5,000 at the max level anyhow. And so, you know, a lot of people were making those videos for $5,000. Now, I've seen a lot of treatments in my life, and I read a lot of treatments, you know, that were a part of this grant process. And, you know, I read a lot of treatments, and I was like, this isn't a $5,000 video, because I know a bunch of people that can make this for $2,000, right? But it's a grant, and they say you can apply for up to $5,000, so of course they're going to apply for up to $5,000. But so yeah, you saw everyone get queasy for a second because they're like,
It's a tough one.
how much does it cost? Well, you know, for this kind of video, I'm going to throw out there that first of all, every filmmaker knows what their bare bones costs are. You know what I mean? Like if I'm a day out there, it's this much money, and a day out there of shooting, or if I've got 10 hours of video and I'm going to try and condense it to 3.5 minutes, I know how much time I'm going to spend on the computer. So we'll call those hard costs, right? Just like your producer in the studio knows if I'm in the studio this much time, this is how much it costs. But then there's all the soft costs that go with the concept, right? In other words, how much am I paying actors? You know, am I renting a whole bunch of gear? You know, you guys can probably speak to
Yeah,
what that looks like.
I mean, I hear what you're saying. You just want a number. I'm gonna throw it out there. I would say when I meet with a band and if I like what they're talking about, like the song, and they say they have minimum 4K, 5K, I can make a good video for that.
Oh, yeah.
I might not make a lot of money, but it's giving me enough money to
No one's making a lot of money.
Yeah, but it's giving me enough. That number tells me in my head that I can get the camera work. I can get costumes or a location for a day. I can do something creative with that kind of money. It's going to allow me to do something cool. Anything below that, I start to get a little nervous because it's going to probably start coming out of my own pocket.
I've seen your videos too, Doug, and so Doug doesn't like skimp on his videos that I've watched. You've got like good sets and good stuff going. So I mean, if Doug says he can make a decent video for 4 or 5, then he's not going to skimp on it. So
Yeah, it just because when you're from a filmmaking standpoint, I'm the director you like, right? All that work we talked about, all those meetings and stuff, blah blah blah. And if you like, I got $1,000, you got to invest in it. Yeah, you got to invest in your song, invest in your video. And I think, it's just like, again, if you walk if you're going to record your song and you decided on a producer or an engineer or a recording house, you're going to take the cheapest one. Your album might not sound all that good. So I just throwing out 4 or 5K is kind of, it's not a lot of money, but it's enough for a filmmaker to do something good with. So I mean, every video is different. I mean,
Yeah, I was gonna say it does kind of like come down on your concept, because it boils down to just like how much it costs to rent like professional equipment, even though like the prices have come down so huge in terms of like being able to shoot with like a digital camera now, so you can have a really good looking video.
Everyone can. It
But you
seems
still-
like everyone does a half-ass job with the technology
that's the thing.
available to them.
And that's the thing, is that there's certain lights that make your video look amazing, and it's like those lights cost money, even if you have a bro who works there and loves your band. And there's just like all those things, like when we like weren't able to get grants to do one of the videos that we had for our last record, but we really believed in the idea. So we were like, even though this is a bigger concept, we'll just make it work, and we'll do everything ourselves, and we'll figure it out. So we worked with the two directors to be like, what if we're the crew? What if I source all the costumes? What if I get all the locations? What if I get all of this stuff and do everything? And it still ended up costing us like, I think we did it for less than $4,000. And that was for the video Road Sick, which turned out amazing, and it got, picked up around the world and was like played on television, and people thought it was a really expensive video, which I was really proud of. I actually haven't been more proud of a video knowing that I was the guy holding the projection screen in the middle of a windstorm, and we made it work despite that. But it's still, at the end of the day, we were just like, it has to cost at least $4,000 to make it look amazing, and
funny.
to make it look like we didn't skimp on it.
It's funny because I remember like growing up, like before I went to film school, I'd watch these music videos and like these amazing, the Lenny Kravitz music videos, and all these wicked music video directors that
Mark Romanek videos.
Yeah. I mean, those are like $50,000,
Buy that box set,
$60,000 music video, right?
Yeah.
And I think looking back to this conversation right now, we're talking $4,000 or $5,000, and a lot of you are going, "Oh man, that's a lot of money," which it is. But look at where we're at. Like, we can make music videos for musicians. Musicians can get music videos now where you don't have to have a director, Mark Romanek, for $100,000 music video. You guys, we can do it. So thinking of it in a different way, like 10 years ago, maybe you wouldn't be able to afford, not even fathom having a real professional music video produced. But now with companies like Amanda's here and independent filmmakers out there, you can make it happen. So really, $4,000 or $5,000 for your band to come up with, especially if there's 5 of you, each throwing $1,000, take the cans in, and make a video. So I mean, yeah, we squirm about money, but it's because it's hard for us too, because it's like we're trying to make a living, and it's a lot of work. So if you find the right director, it's worth it. Trying to find the money, and I'd like to start there. I'd like to see a band say, "We got $5K. What can you do with $5K?" And then I say, "Oh, I got all these ideas." And I say, "Well, can you guys find another 1,000?" And they go, "Yeah, we'll find one." Okay, and then you kind of go from there. But there isn't really a set number on any music video. You just kind of have to kind of throw a number down and be like, this is what we're willing to invest to get it going. And then you can just get super creative with it.
I've seen great videos made for $2,000, to be completely honest. And this is where it comes down to the concept is and the plan that we talked about. And I'm going to go back to being a firm proponent of this, but when I've worked with bands for planning their record, you're planning the financials as much as what you want to do. You know what I mean? It's like they're applying for grants to record the record. They didn't get the grant, or they only got half the grant. Well, then this is all we're capable of doing for our recording, Or maybe sometimes they've scaled it back to a 6-song EP instead, or maybe they did get a grant and then they went whole hog on it. And so different choices get made, and I feel like that's why the plan is so important, because then you can realistically say, we feel like the video has this much importance, and there's people who will spend as much money on the video as they will actually on making the record. There's a lot of people I know who have put that much eggs in that basket, that the video matters as much as the record itself does now. And they'll do things like they'll budget for renting. Well, I've seen people who've paid for like the $6,000 music video, and then they've paid $1,500 to like a local kind of indie documentary filmmaker that they found in their like local film collective, who recorded the making of the record. into a 3-part or 4-part series. You know what I mean? And made that as part of the package and the plan and the budget. So
Plan is
I think finding the money is another big thing. So you ask how much it costs. Well, I know people who have spent $12,000 on videos. I've known people like myself who started my first one at $250. I'm surprised he's still my friend. I know Amanda has a lot of experience with knowing where to go to find the money to make a video. Because sometimes the question is, do you as the artist have to come up with that? Or if you're the one trying to make the video as a filmmaker, is it on you to go and write grants? You know what I mean? And try and get the money to make that video for that band so you get paid. So Amanda, perhaps you could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I think you kind of have to look at who's going to be paying for this at the end of the day. And I'm always really sensitive to how much I'm okay with like a new band that doesn't have a lot of money putting in thousands of dollars into a music video. So we definitely try to go the extra mile to like find a way to make it work, and through that you're going to be applying for grants, and you're going to apply for every grant you possibly can. So out there's stuff like Video Fact through Much Music that you can apply for grants for, and they have multiple deadlines every year. They have a viral video grant that's up to $5,000, and they have a regular video grant that's, I think,
The
like...
viral is only $3,500 now.
Is it 35?
Yeah, just checking.
Good job, Much Music.
Come on.
They don't have any money.
No, it's 50%.
Right,
The rules
yeah.
are 50% of your production budget up to $3,500. So.
Yeah. And then they also have another one that goes, I think, up to $20,000. 25? But again, that's like half of your budget. So you have to be making a $50,000 video. $50,000 video. So there's lots of grants to Much Music for that way. There's also stuff through Factor that they also do a music video grant, and that one has to be applied for by actually either the artist or the label. But the artist or the film production company can apply for Video Fact grants directly. And there's stuff like Public Records that has just popped up, which is awesome. And
They're negotiating to do another round or two.
I hope they keep doing it because it's great.
There is also there's the Canada Council. A lot of people don't know that Canada Council for the Arts has a bunch of grants available for all kinds of parts of your. But I'll be completely honest with you, Canada Council is one of the hardest hoops to jump through for getting grants of any kind. You basically have to be sort of on the fringe of the arts.
You can't be seen as remotely commercial.
No, yeah, you can't be even closely commercial to get any of those. And they have media and video grants available. And if you Google this kind of stuff, you'll see some stuff from SOCAN. And SOCAN's documentation on how to make a music video or get funding is from the year 2000, which is just ridiculous. So that's completely out of touch. Like I was saying before, way back only 7 years ago, Bravo and Bravo Fact was the other place a lot of people were applying to get money. And they had big fat grants available, but they basically handed out more big fat grants to less people is the way they decided to do it. And it all had to be able to be played on television. So anybody who wasn't remotely commercial, wasn't going to get a Bravo Fact grant either. So the thing is, if in Alberta we have the Alberta Foundation of the Arts, that there's different variations of the grants you can apply for with the AFA that are specifically, basically towards promotions. And I've sat on juries for those grants where people had already made the record or the record was coming out and they weren't applying for money for the record, they were applying for a marketing budget. And you guys have to understand that right now amongst a lot of the grant providers out there, like the marketing idea of giving money to those things and having a marketing plan seems way more attractive, and they're throwing more money at that, I believe, right now, than one more band asking for money to make a record. They love marketing plans, and videos are a big part right now of marketing plans. So AFA in Alberta is one, and a Factor. If you get a grant to make music, like one of those cheaper sound recording ones or the more high-end ones, either one of those, if you talk to anybody at Factor, if you get one of those, you're pretty much at the top of the list. If you do an immediate follow-up for a marketing promotional grant, you're pretty much at the top of the list to get a check mark for that. They want to give it to you because they've already funded you to make a record, and they want you to be successful. So if you've ever applied for a Factor grant, you should have it in your plan to follow it up, you know, to also get one for marketing and promotions, and that's where you would pay for, you know, a music video, hopefully.
Yeah, the work plan, I think, is important, like you mentioned. Thinking ahead.
I was also gonna say, like, I know we're talking about budgets, and $4,000 does seem like a lot of money, but in the same way that, like, when you find out, like, you know, all the records that you listen to are recorded in studios that cost $500 a day or whatever, or more so, that doesn't deter you from recording music yourself and learning how to do it and figuring out how to do it. So I will say that when I, like, would say, like, you know, you have a music video that looks a certain way that's able to get on TV and is able to do that, that shouldn't be your starting point. Because, like, if you were to go out and make a music video tomorrow, you would learn so much from just having done that. You would be like, oh man, this took a lot more work than I thought, and it takes a lot more time. And by doing it more and more, you'll learn more from doing those things. So I would definitely, like, don't be deterred by the fact that it costs a lot of money to make a really professional video, in the same way that it costs a lot of money to just master a really professional album. It's like, you can still go out tomorrow, and I always say, like, iPhone, but, like, on a Canon, like, 5D camera, you can make an amazing video, and you can spend that time and figure out how long and how much work, like, an actual director will spend on editing, and then you'll realize you don't want to do that ever again. And you'll, like, be like, I understand why this is this person's job, because this is literally the worst job ever. But it's like, from doing those things and, like, coming up with those ideas and trying them out and figuring them out and, like, executing them and putting them up and getting that feedback from your peers and your fans, especially when it's positive, like, that's all such a huge learning thing. So definitely don't be deterred by, like, that gap that maybe your band just started last week and you're like, I need to put something on YouTube and I don't have $4,000. It's like, you do need to put something on YouTube, but you should just plan it out.
There's
before.
ways.
Yeah, and by the time you've finished your 20th YouTube video, you'll be able to sit down with the director and not, at the same time, you won't sound like an idiot. In the same way that once you finish recording, you know, X amount of demos with your 8-track, you're like, I know that this sounds terrible and I need to go to something better. Or you're like, this is as much as I need to do and I'm going to do 8-tracks forever and screw this up.
I found my thing. Is there other questions out there? We've done a lot of talking. I want to be able to hear from people.
Hi. I'm just wondering what your guys' thoughts are surrounding kind of the outpour of live music sessions that are popping up all over the place.
Like like what started with the what's the French one?
Are you talking about, like, the
Blogotech all of a sudden created this whole series of, I'm going to just shoot a band when they come through town live. Southern Souls out in Ontario.
Yeah, and the Green Couch sessions.
Green Couch, yeah.
We're welcome to the West, Calgary.
And they're even in Edmonton doing a balcony TV.
Yeah.
Different ones, yeah.
So, I mean, there's a certain appeal that exists with shooting videos like that, but obviously huge difference from videos that you might work on that take months or weeks.
Well, in all honesty, for me, I'm not attracted to those types of videos at all. I've had a lot of people phone me and say, you know, we're playing at this bar downtown Calgary. We want to hire you to come shoot us live. I say no. It's just because I'm an artist too, right? Like, what drives me is to tell a story or to capture something visually that you have to construct or make, you know, with your hands or with your eyes or whatever. And if it's just setting up some cameras and being a technician, it's not what drives me personally. And that's another good point about finding a director, is that you want to, you know, are you looking to hire a technician or are you looking to hire an artist to help you paint your thing, you know? Again, it sounds kind of cheesy, but I'm just being honest. Like, for me personally, if I'm going to do a music video, I want to be creative. I want that creative ability. I want to be empowered by the band to do my thing.
What about Amazing Factory? Would they do it?
Yeah, we do it. We don't go out and film, like, live shows in venues, because I feel you're definitely at the whim of getting a proper recording to go with it and dealing with those red lights and just I feel like we've never had a good time doing it. But the takeaway shows, that's something we have done, because I think there is a cool creative and spontaneous element to it that we really liked, and we
we've done only a few of them that we called Giants of the Forest, and we did it on the Vancouver's Awesome blog. And it was pretty much a way that like we were starting out and trying to establish our self-worth, and we wanted to work with a lot of artists, but they just didn't have any money, and we're like, do you want to hang out for an afternoon and we'll film you playing this live and we'll make it look really cool and it'll help promote you and us. And so through that, like, that's definitely something we really enjoy doing that, and the reason we don't do them as so much anymore is just because we've actually been busy with jobs that pay. But it's also something that every now and then a friend's coming through town and it's just like, let's do this. And it's a great piece of content for your website. It's something extra that you're playing your song in a different manner. You know, it's in a more of an acoustic setting. So it's definitely showing your song in a different way than it is with the recorded and slick mastered version that you might do a full-blown music video for. But the takeaway shows, I think a lot of them are pretty inspiring.
And if they do it well, right? Like, and this is what it comes down to, right? Because Mitch, who does Southern Souls out in Ontario, you know, I had a couple artists I was representing, and I was sending them on tour out through Ontario. And so I contacted Mitch and I said, you know, I'd like to do a couple of these videos. And I had met him before, and he only was at that time only charging $100 for one of these videos, takeaway show things. And I know for a fact, like, he's losing his shirt on this thing. I don't know what he was doing for his day job, but he was spending countless hours editing and producing. And he had hundreds and hundreds of videos on his website, everybody. And I was like, I want you to do, and then he wrote me back and he's like, I'll do it for this guy and not this guy. They're on tour together, these two guys. And they're both on the label, and he picked one because he liked the one and he didn't like the other. It comes down to that subjective thing. And but he's like, but the timing is bad, you know. I don't think I can do it. So I said, I'll pay you $200 because he normally charges $100. And then he came back and he's like, I like him a lot and I want to do it, but I just know how many jobs I'm having. I'm like, I'll pay you $300. And I did that because $300 is a bargain for how much reach I knew his videos were going to have. They had as much reach as if I went and spent $5,000 on a concept video for that artist at that time who was on tour with a new record. You know what I mean? So I think that there's great value in those things. I think they're complementary to things.
They're another marketing tool, right? So they're good to do. It's just finding the right person to do it for you.
I don't know if I would say they're not a marketing tool, though.
No, I said they are a marketing tool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
You said they're not. I was
They're
like,
a huge marketing tool.
I was like, I think the complete opposite.
Yes?
I just feel that, you know, there are different ways to look at promotions and marketing from an organic point of view, and then from like the large scale YouTube point of view, and the communities in which you're reaching and how strong those communities are from the beginning. So when you look at Green Couch sessions, I mean, I'm not 100% sure, you know, where that all began, but it's exploded, and that production company has worked with some of the most brilliant artists from across Canada, and their list of artists is growing and growing and growing. So I don't know, there's just a certain appeal to, you know, the live video session as opposed to a live video shot at a bar, as opposed to another video that might be like a story being told with actors.
Well, you've really got to know yourself and your genre and your audience too, right? Which is that's where the onus becomes on the artist if you're going to make a video. Because I worked with a guy who produced all his own records in his basement, and he was determined, like, that was who he was and what his sound was. So he wouldn't do it. I could say, here's 30 grand to go in the studio with so and so, and he's like, no, I want to make the record myself, right? And he would prefer those kinds of videos, takeaway shows, to some like big concept video. Whereas, you know, I was watching, you know, I found it interesting. Perhaps you guys can answer this. You know, I watched a bunch of Cancer Bat videos before this, and then I thought, okay, and I watched some of Doug's videos, and he works with a bunch of harder rock, you know, bands and stuff. And so I went and looked at some other bands in similar genre, and it seemed like it was pretty common that there was a performance base to the videos, that they liked playing their instrument in the video. Whereas I work with a lot of indie DIY grassroots bands who love the concept, right? And the video is all the sort of concept, kind of weird, disjointed ideas, and then at the ending there's actually no point to the whole thing. You know, they keep sailing off in their boat, and you're like, what? Why did they? What are they in love? I don't get it. And but for some reason, like this whole, you know, so perhaps, you know, this whole idea of what you're trying to achieve in your video, you know, has something to do with who you're trying to reach with your video.
Yeah.
Right?
Knowing your audience, I think. I mean, we always put performance in our videos because we want people to see that our shows are cool. And to be like, oh, I want to party with that band. That'll be the best. And then they party with us.
Well, there's different.